It's that time again, and I know I've been gone, but that's a story for another time. Like the usual, Boruto has released his monthly heat, and like every other chapter, Boruto has performed, but he might have had a small setback. We also get to see the time skip Team 7 make a return, but it wouldn't be a manga review without a recap. I will be recapping all the chapters I've missed, so if you don't want to see that, go to this timestamp. Before we get into this, please consider subscribing. It only takes a couple seconds and it really helps me out. Okay, after Mitsuki confronted Boruto, Boruto made quick work of Mitsuki, ending the fight with Boruto reminding him that he's Mitsuki's son. The manga then cuts to Kawaki waking up after Mitsuki knocked him out, and then we see Shikamaru making contact with Boruto, using Ino's jutsu. Boruto then further proves his innocence to Shikamaru by explaining how Ada's jutsu omnipotence works. They then come to an agreement where Shikamaru knows that Boruto is innocent, but still needs him to be viewed as the villain, just so no conflict is made between him and Kawaki. Next, we see Jura reading a book, most definitely planning some type of attack. The next chapter then opens up to Ada giving the location of Boruto to Kawaki. Kawaki then quickly sets off to find Boruto. We then see Boruto further explaining the situation to Shikamaru on the new threats the Leaf is soon to face. Kawaki on his way to Boruto would then inform Shikamaru that his location has been pinpointed by Ada and that he's on his way. Using this, Shikamaru then informs Boruto, allowing him to leave before Kawaki got there. As a result, this leaves Kawaki confused on how he just disappeared. The manga then cuts to Mitsuki seeking help from Ada after feeling conflicted with the statement Boruto said to him. He also begins to question why he sees Kawaki as an ally. We then see Jura and Hidari going forward with the plan they were plotting by entering the village. Kawaki would notice this and quickly intercept him, but he's quickly dealt with and sent flying. It is then revealed that the nine tails that Jura was chasing was actually Himawari the whole time. The next chapter then opens up to Himawari, Shikadai, Inojin, and Shocho getting ready to battle Jura. But this would be cut short when Jura would apprehend Himawari, but Ino Shikacho then quickly saves Himawari. The manga then cuts to Kashin Koji relaying to Boruto that the village is under attack, with Boruto then setting his sights there. We then see Kawaki wake up after being attacked, but he would quickly realize that Boruto made his appearance. Being the hothead he is, he then tries to fight Boruto. But unfortunately for him, Boruto would also make quick work of him. Kawaki, as a result of this, then activates his karma, also making Boruto's karma activate, forcing Boruto to flee the scene. The manga then cuts back to the fight with Ino Shikacho and Jura, where they would then flee. While fleeing, Himawari is then sent to a very similar world that seems to be taking place in her mind. It is soon revealed that a baby like Kurama pulled her into that state. The next chapter opens up with a multitude of scenarios going down. Konohamaru and the other shinobi intercept Jura and Hidari. The manga then cuts to Shikamaru asking Boruto what happened after fleeing the scene, with Kawaki. We then cut back to the fight where we see Jura leave and Hidari staying to deal with the shinobi. Sumire and Sarada then make their appearances. Hidari noticing this, he instantly sets his sights on Sarada, attacking her, but Sarada would quickly dodge and counterattack with a Hidori. But Sarada is left confused on how Hidari used the same jutsu as her father. We then see Himawari conversing with baby Kurama, but back in the physical world we see that Himawari is knocked out, with Jura quickly tailing behind them. We then cut back to Himawari where Kurama explains that through Naruto, Himawari was born with a sliver of Kurama's chakra, and soon after, she would wake back up from his mental area. Jura then cuts their flee short by shooting down Inojin's bird with a beast bomb of some sort. Now on the ground, with Jura quickly approaching, Himawari then attacks Jura, resulting in Jura breaking her leg. Inojin then sees this and attacks Jura, but is impaled in the stomach by earth spears protruding from the ground. Himawari seeing this allowed her to tap into her latent powers passed down from her dad, sporting a similar look to her father as well. The next chapter then picks up where it left off, with the hair actually looking very similar to her grandmother's. Himawari then grabs Inojin and then heals his wounds with her chakra, which we've seen Naruto do in the past. Himawari then instantly starts her attack on Jura by sending him flying and shooting him with a beast bomb. Jura then makes quick work of this by deflecting the beast bomb with his own type of beast bomb. We then see Jura start to overwhelm Himawari, proving that though she has this new latent power, it isn't proving to be enough to stop Jura. The manga then cuts back to Hidari and all the shinobi surrounding him. Hidari then sneaks a belt behind Sarada and shocks her by grabbing her leg, while simultaneously lighting one of the surrounding shinobis on fire. Konohamaru then intercepts Hidari, but is quickly dealt with. Sumire would then try and jump in the way of Hidari and Sarada, but is also quickly dealt with. The manga then cuts back to Himawari, who's being tossed around by Jura. We then see Kawaki headed over to the scene, but he's quickly beaten by Boruto, who grabs Himawari and then quickly performs Flying Raijin, subtly appearing in front of Hidari, intercepting him. And now that the recap is over, let's jump into the newest chapter. The Chapter opens up to Boruto standing in front of Hidari after intercepting him. Boruto then commands Konohamaru to take Himawari to safety, but Hidari doesn't waste any time by swinging at Boruto with his blade. Boruto quickly blocks the attack and sends Hidari flying with a wind-style jutsu, but before Hidari hits the ground, he would use one of his belts to disappear. The manga then cuts to Kawaki and Delta staring down at Jura. Kawaki assumes that since Boruto disappeared in an instant, it must have been a space-time ninjutsu, and that he's probably with the others where the fight initially started. Delta then questions the sensory unit on the whereabouts of Himawari and the others. They quickly let her know that they made contact with Konohamaru and Sarada. Delta then questions Kawaki on what his plans are, but Kawaki is more worried about why Jura is just standing there without a care. The manga then cuts back to Boruto, where Konohamaru also questions Boruto on who he thinks he is, going in and out of Konoha like it doesn't matter. Sarada would then stop Konohamaru, reminding him that Boruto just saved their life. Needing this fact, Konohamaru complies with Boruto's commands. Boruto then also commands the sensory unit to focus his sensing on where the claw grimes are, but the shinobi would not like the fact that a criminal is bossing him around. Suida then notifies Boruto that Hidari is only targeting Sarada. Sarada then states that he's trying to devour her and that he has to be connected to Sasuke turning into a tree. Konohamaru hears this and puts the pieces together on what happened to Moegi. Boruto then tells him not to hold back, even though he looks like Sasuke. What they need to do is defeat him to get Sasuke back. Konohamaru is then confused on how Boruto is getting all this information, but Boruto then tells Konohamaru to focus on the enemy or he will die. The shinobi then cuts them off by saying that he is sensing a claw grime, though he doesn't know where it's coming from. They are quickly then surrounded by claw grime, but Boruto states that he'll dwindle the numbers down, but for Sarada to only counterattack because Sarada is who Hidari is targeting. Boruto then quickly makes work of all the claw grime. Sarada then performs an attack on one of them, but Hidari's hand appears out of nowhere and grabs her leg. Boruto quickly throws a shuriken at him and performs flying Raijin, hitting Hidari with a Rasengan. Hidari, severely injured, retreats through his belt. Sarada then lets Boruto know that Hidari keeps retreating through his belts to recover. Hidari then appears behind them and casts a multitude of belts all around them. Sarada then tells Boruto to fly in the air and she'll use herself as bait, and when Hidari shows up, to hit him with a Rasengan. But Boruto cuts her off and tells her that flying isn't an option. Instead, he'll use Uzuhiko at maximum output. Boruto, noticing that she's confused on what that is, he quickly gives her a rundown on how the jutsu works. But for him to use the jutsu, both of his feet have to be on the ground, which is why flying isn't an option. Hidari then makes his attack, but Konohamaru quickly blocks the attack with a Rasengan barrier. Boruto is then confused on why Konohamaru is here and not with Himawari. But Hidari uses his commotion to make his attack on Sarada, grabbing her. But Sarada thinks fast. She shocks Hidari with the lightning jutsu. Boruto, seeing the perfect chance of attack, he attacks Hidari, though Uzuhiko isn't fully charged. He makes contact and states, Rasengan Uzuhiko. As a result, it creates a massive vortex similar to the Rasen Shuriken and leaves Hidari's body in tatters. But before Hidari could escape through his belts, Kawaki shrinks all the belts and pins Hidari to the ground. Kawaki then states, "You seem like you're in pain. I'll put you out of your misery," and finishes Hidari off. Kawaki realizes in the aftermath of his attack, he sees a bud-like object left there. Boruto quickly grabs it, leading Kawaki to question him on what it is. Boruto then questions Kashinkoji through the toad on his shoulder if it's the item they've been looking for, and Kashinkoji responds, confirming that it is the soul thorn. Kawaki quickly grabs Boruto's collar, demanding that he tells him what the item is. Boruto then states it's what they need to get Sasuke back from the sorry state that he's left in, and that if he understands, to let him go or he will cut Kawaki's arm off. Kawaki then questions who told him this, but before anything can be said, in DBZ fashion, Boruto was taken out with a beam through the chest, from nowhere. While everyone's worried on Boruto's well-being, Kawaki questions Delta on where that came from. The manga then cuts to Jura, surprised that he missed Boruto's vitals. It is revealed that through Delta's conclusion, Jura sniped Boruto with a beam-like attack. The manga then cuts to Sarada with Boruto's words replaying in her head about how the Soul Thorn is needed to save Sasuke. She tries to grab it but is shot in the wrist by the same attack that hit Boruto. The Soul Thorn then starts to float and flies to Jura. Now with Hidari's Soul Thorn in his hand, the chapter ends when he comes to a conclusion that Boruto is too much of a threat and that Kawaki should be enough for the chakra fruit, and that instead he'll just kill Boruto. Okay, this chapter was crazy. A lot went down. The craziest part being that Boruto got sniped in the chest by Jura, and That scene kind of reminded me of Dragon Ball Z, which is why I said in DBZ fashion, because it reminds me of when Piccolo just got blasted in the chest. Now, there's a lot of things in this chapter that happened that I'm glad happened. Like, now we know, like, a solution on how to beat these Claw Grime. It's the Soul Thorns. And I was kind of sitting here like, damn, these guys are like impossible to beat. Like, how are we going to beat these guys? And I like how the Soul Thorns are our key to figuring out how to beat them. And obviously it is a big like clue on how to beat them, because Joro was like taken aback that Boruto knows this, switching his target from feeding him to the tree to actually just killing him instead. Alright, and with that, that'll conclude my review of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 12. Now, I know I've been gone for a while, a lot of things happened, and if you guys really care, I'll talk about it, but it's nothing really too important to talk about. I just want to come back and act like nothing happened and just keep uploading, and yeah, I'm glad to be back, and I'll catch y'all later.